Did you know that more than 90% of cyber attacks can be prevented? Focus Technology helps organizations create a cybersecurity framework to minimize your risk of being attacked. Let Focus Technology's certified team conduct an assessment to determine where the gaps are in your organization, no matter how big or small your company is. Utilizing the industry's best tools, Focus Technology security operations team will monitor and stop bad actors before it's too late. Contact Focus Technology today at focustsi.com and secure your company's most valuable assets. That's focustsi.com. A&B Burger in Beverly and A&B Kitchen and Bar in Boston are redefining guest expectations of a casual restaurant. Both A&B restaurant locations are focused on hospitality, creative menus, and delicious food and drinks. Now, I've been to both restaurants many times and loved everything I've tried. Get to A&B Burger on Cabot Street in Beverly or head across the street from our studio at the TD Garden to A&B Kitchen and Bar in Boston today and experience the A&B difference yourself. I promise you're going to love it. Hey everybody, it's Kim, your host for Kerrigan & Company, brought to us by A&B Burger. Keeping me company today, a restaurant owner who has got a story like none other. This is Kerrigan & Company.
Kerrigan & Company is here for you. Yes, Kerrigan & Company is here for you.
Welcome, everybody, to Kerrigan & Company. I'm Kim Kerrigan, your host. It's brought to us today by A&B Burger. So good to have you along, and I'm so excited about who's keeping me company today. Speaking of A&B Burger, this is the owner, founder of A&B Burger, Tom Holland, with me today. Hi.
That's good. Hey, how are you, Kim?
This is actually your second appearance on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm an old hat at this point.
Please.
We could change it to Kerrigan and Holland and Company, I think.
We probably can at this point. Yeah, you were on with us when we did the Super Bowl show.
Oh, yeah.
And you brought food in. And I'm sure you brought food today, right?
Well, I didn't because I'm hoping that we're going to go back to A&B after.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's fair enough.
If I bring food, how can I get you into my restaurant?
Yeah, listen, you know what? You have been so great because you've been our named sponsor, our presenting sponsor throughout this entire thing. And it's been so fun to get to know you and get to know the restaurants. I mean, I had been in the restaurant in Beverly many times, but not A&B Kitchen and Bar across the street so many times here at the Garden. And now I can't figure out which one I like better. They have two very distinct vibes to me.
Absolutely, 100%.
Don't you think?
Yeah, no, A&B Burgers is definitely more of it has that kind of homey suburban feel to it, right?
It does?
It's on Cabot Street in Beverly, and it's a place that a lot of families come to. People have been going there for 10 years, and if I take something off the menu, I get an email, a phone call, or a text message saying, why do you take this off? Where
they know your name.
They know where I live up there. And then A&B Kitchen still has, our goal is to create that same homey feel, but it's got some pizzazz to it.
Yeah.
It's got big plate glass windows. Yeah. It's on Causeway Street. It's got a great view of the Garden and the Zakim Bridge, and it's a little flashier in the sense of, the decor.
Yeah.
But the menu itself we stay true to that feeling of comfort.
I tell you, I have been over there twice in the last 2 months before events here at the Garden. Yeah. And I will tell you, folks, if you want to go over to A&B Kitchen and Bar, I would highly suggest it before anything going on at the Garden because the energy is crazy in there. We were in there one night. There was a table of, I'd say, 15 or 20, and they were getting psyched for the Celtics game. And it was just fun. It's just a fun place to be. So again, it's got a very different vibe to me because you're right. When I go up in Beverly, it's a little more laid back. But having said that, it's very homey feeling. You're exactly right.
That's our goal.
Everybody knows your name,
exactly.
right?
It's that Cheers trademark.
So tell everybody, because I think people do not know this, A&B stands for
Alex and Benjamin. So Alex and Benjamin are my sons, and my wife Nancy's sons, of course. Yeah. Al is the youngest, and it's been a bone of contention that A goes before the B with the oldest, but unfortunately B and A or B of A is already taken by Bank of America, so we had to go A and B.
Well, an A and B sort of makes sense. You just weren't thinking about that when you were having babies and naming them.
No, but I will tell you, the great benefit of it is whenever there's a list of restaurants, and this happened when we first opened, we won an award. We were named, it wasn't an award, but we were named one of the best new restaurants, and it had a list of, I don't know, maybe 10 restaurants that got this nationally. And there were some big chef names, national chefs names on this list. But because A&B gets listed first, it looked like we were named number one over all these big celebrity chefs. And I got phone calls and emails from people saying, I can't believe you beat so-and-so. And I was like, well, yeah, I'll take this. I'm not going to correct you, but,
Take your place in line. We're A.
Right. A and B. I had a better name for a list than anybody else.
Maybe you did think that through. Oh, it's so great. Well, I got to tell you, you and I first met because you were a North Shore mover and shaker.
Oh, yeah.
You're from Andover.
No, Wenham.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you're from Wenham.
Yep.
I was the host of this event where you were being honored, and you came and got up on the stage, and you told a story that absolutely blew me and everybody in the place away. It was dead silent. No one.
I do that to a room.
They didn't get up and leave. I just want you to know that. It wasn't dead silence, then they left. No, it was dead silent, and a lot of people did not know the story. You had shared the story with me prior to the event. And I'd love for you to share it with everybody listening. So what I'm talking about here is that you come to this restaurant business from a long road.
Correct. A very long and windy road.
Long and windy road that started before your wife, Nancy, and certainly before A and B.
Oh, long before.
Tell everybody about your history, if you can.
Sure. We only have a short period of time, so I'll make it somewhat the short version, I guess. But as a business owner, didn't really follow that traditional path, so to speak. When I was younger, my family went through a lot of different traumas, my dad went to prison. My mom had to raise 3 kids, and I rebelled. I looked for other ways of friendships and family. I mean, looking back now, I always had family. Sometimes you're just too naive and dumb when you're young to realize what you already have. But I went searching for something, and so when I was 15, I hitchhiked across country and I followed the Grateful Dead around the country for almost 4.5 years. I traveled all over. I lived in...
You were a deadhead.
I was a deadhead. I lived in parking lots and in Golden Gate Park, and I slept under overpasses and under highways and whatnot. Got into a lot of different things. Ended up becoming a very active addict and alcoholic, and drugs and alcohol took over my life for a very long time. Ended up being a homeless person. Back and forth. I mean, I would go up on these high peaks as well, and then I would just collapse off them because I could never keep myself going. I mean, it was all a facade and act at the time. And so when I was 30, I went into my third and final halfway house. I tried when I was 19, when I was 25 to get sober both times, and I could not.
And did you do that on your own time?
Yes and no. I was always, the first 2 times I was trying to get out of, what I referred to as a jackpot, so to say. There was money owed, there was issues, there was a girl, there were different things that I was trying to make other people happy, to keep the whole life. But so, I knew I wanted it, but I didn't want it enough yet. I wasn't going there for me. When I was 30, I was living in a motel in Cape Cod that my mom was paying for as a 30-year-old. Moms are amazing. Thank you, Mom. Kept me alive. And she was paying for a motel. I was literally walking around picking up cans to get money to eat. And when I talk about eat, I would have a little Debbie snack cake. That would be a meal for me at the time, because I was focused on other things and very self-destructive things.
In your mind, were you trying to self-destruct?
I don't know if I was trying to. I definitely was. I was a really good liar. So good that I believed all my own lies. And I thought, I could, whenever reality popped up and I would start realizing what was going on in my life, I would medicate myself so I would then forget. And, and that was what the addiction did to me. And so I woke up one morning and finally was done. Like I was in no trouble. I mean, my life was trouble, but I was in no trouble. I was trying to, I had lost everything at this point. I mean, I was truly living on the streets or in a motel that mom was paying for. I had no friends. I had no relationships, nothing. I was unemployable at the time. I wasn't working. It was bad. And so I woke up one morning and I picked up the phone and I called a place called High Point, which is a recovery center down in Plymouth, Massachusetts. And I asked if they had a bed, and they said they had one. And if I got there within, an hour or so, whatever the time was, I could have it. But if otherwise, they would release it. But they told me I had to have an ID, which I didn't have an ID at the time. And so I called my mom, who lived in Falmouth, about another world away on Cape Cod time.
Sure.
I wasn't that far, but on Cape Cod time it is. And I said, Mom, I need help. I'm a mess. I need to get into this place. And if I don't get to the DMV and get an ID and get there by this time, they're going to give this bed away. And my mom, being the saint she is, jumped in her car and picked me up and got me to this place. And when I got there, I promised myself that this time I would do what everybody else told me and suggested instead of what I wanted to do. Because I always thought I was smarter than everybody else, and you would tell me how to help myself, and I would say, I don't need to do it your way. I can do it my way. And I always failed. And so this one time I did whatever anybody said. And I ended up going through, I was there for 6 weeks, and then I went to a halfway house in East Boston. And my goal was to then learn how to live life. And I wanted to go to UMass Boston and go to college. And, I dropped out of high school, obviously, but I got my GED. I loved reading. I loved studying. I never stopped learning. I just couldn't sit in a school, in a classroom. But I wanted now, at 30, to go back to school. I wanted to be a journalist. I really wanted to be a wartime journalist. I wanted to go into hot zones all over the world and write about it. And that was my goal. I still would love to do that. But I think my wife and kids would have
I'm sure they would.
I had to get a job. And so I got a job at a place on Newbury Street as a waiter, because it's all I'd ever done in my life is restaurants. And I got a job at a place called Sansi on Newbury Street. And this was in 2001. So it was in this heyday restaurant. I didn't know what I was getting into. I had no idea what Sansi was. But I knew they needed waiters, and I got hired on the spot. And that job really changed my life, because I met a man, my mentor, a gentleman named Steve Coyle, who ran Sansi and a lot of places for the Lions Group, and he took me under his wing, saw something in me that I didn't know was there, and he gave me my first management job, and I liked it, and I was good at it. And so I gave up my dream of this, and I took a new dream. And I became the general manager of Sansi, and then from there I went to work with Michael Schlau and helped him open a few restaurants, became partners with him in a couple. And then in 2013, I was able to turn all of that experience and knowledge and relationships into the first A&B Burgers, which was in Salem, Mass. in 2013.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the quick version. There's a lot more there that
I know there is, but it's an amazing story. And an inspirational story for a lot of people who I think, what I think is the most fascinating part of it, and there's a lot of aspects of it that are fascinating, but it's the fact that you got to 30 and finally decided, even after all the 10 years, 15 years of such hard times, you pulled yourself out of that.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, with the help of obviously
A
your
lot of
mother
great people.
and a whole lot of other good people. But you ultimately decided you had to stop. And I've asked you this before, Tom, but is it hard for you now? I mean, you work in an industry where you're exposed to these kinds of things, and I frequently, wonder
Yeah.
how you do it.
So, no, it doesn't affect. So I've been sober for 23 years now. February 21st, 2001.
Congratulations.
Was my sobriety date. Thank you very much. And no, at first, when I was at Sansi and I was newly sober, there were some sexy aspects of drinking. Being there, if anyone knows Sansi, I know you know it. And the French doors are open up to Newbury Street, and it's a beautiful summer night, and people are walking by, and the beautiful people are sitting at those front tables sipping champagne and a nice Cabernet or Pinot Noir and laughing and enjoying. So those moments were difficult for me. But I stayed till 2 a.m., and I saw the transformation that went from that sexy wine to not so sexy drunken brawls and shots and finding people passed out on bathroom floors when I was trying to lock up because their friends left them and that that's what I would think about. I was given a lot of tools during my attempts at recovery, even the early ones that didn't work, so to speak, that when I finally made the decision for myself, there was no looking back for me. When I make a decision, there usually isn't a regret one way or the other. It just is what it is.
I imagine you can understand, though, how for a lot of people, they can never make that ultimate decision.
Yeah, it's hard.
They can't get there.
We're talking deep here, but last night we were talking about this at the dinner table and the show, and my sons were making fun of me because they're like, "Oh, you're going to talk about your story again," and because they know they've heard it all. They've been with me so many times, and my wife Nancy was like, "Listen, this story means something." She's like, "Oh, you don't understand because you're so young, but most people in his situation died. And if they didn't die, they went to prison."
Right.
Because, it wasn't just alcohol. There were some very hard drugs I was involved with. And I was an active heroin addict for years. And I remember somebody once told me, a very close person, very close to me, said, heroin addicts never get, and he was in recovery, he was an alcoholic, said, heroin addicts never stay sober, ever. And that got me. I was like, okay, no. And so to my wife, it's like, this is important that he tells that story because there are people out there that can make it, and they hear the same thing I hear, which is you'll never make it, so why try?
Of course.
And it beats you down, and it's like, yeah, you know what? Life gets hard, why try?
Right.
And I'll tell you that it's the greatest life in the world. I'm the happiest person I could be. And it's not easy.
No,
I mean, being
I'm
a
sure
restaurant
it's not.
owner right now is very, very challenging. The last 4 years have been harder than they've ever been.
Yeah.
But it's still way better than anything it could have
Absolutely. You bet.
been.
You bet.
Yeah.
Tom Holland is keeping me company today. He's the owner of A&B Burger. We're so glad that you're with us today. Thank you so much for being here. We've got a great show.
Yeah, I'm
And
excited.
we're gonna do our Fast Five that we always do with our co-hosts. We're gonna do that a little bit later in the show. And I also want to talk about what the future of A&B Burger might be.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that as well. Thank you for sharing the story. It's an
thank you
important
for
one to
having
share. It really, really is. But we've got a guest coming up
Yeah.
here in just
All
a
right.
moment. So you are listening to Kerrigan & Company. By now, you know how much I love going to A&B Burger in Beverly and A&B Kitchen and Bar across from the TD Garden. But did you know that A&B caters? Whether it's 4 people or 400, A&B's got you covered. Choose from sandwiches, salads, build your own burger bars, and dinner platters. Or work with the A&B team to create a custom menu just for your event. Spring is here, and that means graduation season is coming up fast. Why not treat your favorite graduate and all your guests to great food from A&B Burger? Get started by emailing events at andbburgers.com. That's events at burgers.com. You'll be glad you did. Learn more at andbburgers.com. Do you know what generative AI is and how your company can ensure employees are more productive? Focus Technology can help you master the use of Microsoft's newest tool, Copilot. This powerful tool can help your team speed up many of their daily tasks by enabling hands-on learning directly with the software. It can summarize long emails, generate drafts of long documents, and search for answers to key questions. Copilot represents a unique opportunity for businesses to accelerate their understanding of what generative AI can deliver for their company. Contact Focus Technology today to learn more at focustsi.com and bring your organization into the AI revolution. That's focustsi.com.
If you like rum, you're going to love Rumson's Rum, New England's most award-winning rum brand. Rumson creates distinctive and savory flavor profiles by hand-selecting and marrying the finest barrel-aged Caribbean rums. The spirits are then blended and finished in the New England Rum House. Choose from Rumson's Gold, Spiced, Grand Reserve, or Coffee Rum, which is smooth and sweet with a warm roasted coffee flavor, a hint of vanilla, and a decadent buttery finish. Find Rumson's at liquor stores or ask for it at your favorite restaurant. Learn more at rumsons.com. That's rumsons.com. Rumsons. Life lived, life enjoyed.
This segment of Kerrigan & Company is brought to you by Lucia Lighting and Design, where people in the know go for the best possible lighting and design experience. Welcome back to Kerrigan & Company. Keeping me company today is Tom Holland. He is the owner of A&B Burgers and our presenting sponsor. Very much appreciate your support, by the way.
I appreciate you. So thank you.
Gosh, it's been quite a delight. And another one of our supporters, and also someone I've known for quite some time because she's been responsible for a few lights in my home, is Lucy Dearborn. She is from Lucia Lighting and Design in Lynn. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
She's the owner, and
cheese.
she is the lighting aficionado.
Yes, yeah. I named myself that.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Yes,
I thought I was about to steal it from you.
Trademarked.
I got to tell you, it's a small world because I said to Tom, are you familiar with Lucy's stories? Oh, yeah, we have chandeliers in the restaurant that are from there.
10 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, but yeah, we were in your store,
incredible.
And it was an incredible location, really, really cool. An old mansion, right?
Yes.
Yeah, really cool.
If one's forced to go to work every day, it's a great place to have to go.
Oh, it is so beautiful. It's a great place. And what I love is that Lucy does a lot of local I'm going to call them artists, who do lighting. And then, of course, you have fabulous national brands. And you have designers who come from here in the city, from everywhere to come and see the selection and put it in some of their homes and some of their designs.
We do. We're really grateful. We have a client base that's really more like family. And, we were talking outside about, when we were making change and everything, it's because the design community is sort of driving the bus and forcing us to make changes in a good way.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing this week is that whole local artist and Made in America pieces. So we're super excited.
It's so great. It's so great. Lighting is so important. I mean, I am very into lighting.
You are.
Very, very much so. Now, I like everything in my house, including where my toilets are on dimmers. Yes. I don't have a single light in my house that's not on a dimmer.
Good girl.
I'm not loving LED because it's white. And so I don't love it.
Yes.
But I'm trying to get over it. But lighting is an important part of a restaurant. It's an important part of anything that you do, right?
Well, to your point, Kim, I think the restaurants, when the LED first came out, the restaurants were like,
yeah,
because they like the moody, sexy lighting, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we go to dinner for. We want to hold our partner's hand. And so the LED has been a challenge. But just like cell phones and televisions, it's come a long way. There is tunable white now, so you can get a nice warm white, you can get a nice bright white. So there's lots of things within the technology that is coming down the road that's going to be great for restaurants and homes. Great, right?
Yeah, 100%. And then we also have all our restaurants on dimmers too, because you want to raise and lower the lighting depending on the lighting outside. And if I see someone like me in a restaurant flashing my iPhone flashlight to read the menu, I know I probably put it a little too low, so I have to adjust it back up a bit. But the LEDs don't make a huge impact. I think at first they did. It was different,
Yes.
but now we're so used to it. And the thing that I like about it is they last way longer. So I'm not constantly running to the store
That's
buying
true.
new light bulbs.
That's very true. Yeah, they are more efficient. There's no two ways about it. I have a pillow in my master bathroom. It sits on a little pedestal, and the pillow says, "If the world is a stage, I want better lighting." And I live by that motto as someone who's worked in front of lights. So it's an important thing. Talk to us a little bit about some of the trends that you have been seeing when it comes to lighting. It seems like to me they've changed quite a bit in the last maybe 5 years.
Yeah. The lighting community is really starting to hold hands with the design community. So you go to places like High Point, North Carolina, it's a whole town full of lighting, furniture, and accessories. So it's really given us the advantage to be able to see what trends in furniture, accessories, colors, what's happening, so that we can sort of pivot and make sure that our lighting really fits into that trend. So the fun part about putting it all together is being sort of on the cutting edge with lighting. And, like when you and beautiful Gracie came to the store, we were talking about natural, like rattan and jute string and Brazilian wood. You're going to start to see a lot of wood veneers, and they can be colors. They're beyond beautiful. I'm a big natural material fan, probably, as you know. And I also love that brass and gold are coming back, because I do think, and it's with a twist. So that's nice. It's, we jokingly say it's not your grandmother's chandelier. Yeah. So, and bigger trends like scale. So it's sort of like, remember people used to have 5 little baby pendants over their island?
Right.
Now they have 2 big Mamma Jamma show-stopping cuties. So I see those as like the big trends. Outdoor lighting, big, big, big. I'm starting to see our little, we talked about today, are rechargeable. So you charge them. And, here in New England, we don't have a lot of plugs. We don't have a lot of lights. So this rechargeable thing, restaurants are loving this trend, because LED lights last a long time. And charging them overnight, and you're getting 12 or 15 hours of use. So bring it out to your patio if you're going for a walk in the woods. And you think you're going to come home in the dark. So there's lots of ways to use these rechargeable without using a lot of batteries.
Yeah, it's really neat.
good.
I love
It's
it.
awesome.
Why are you so passionate about lighting?
My initials are LED.
That's pretty cool. That's really, you were born for this. Wow. You were born for this.
I totally was. I started in lighting. I didn't realize how much I was going to like the creative aspect. I knew I was a people person, so sales was kind of, going to happen. But it changes. Every day is different. It's creative. The people are great. We have a great team of people at Lucia. I think for me, it's the combination of both the creativity. There's some technical, which is cool too, the parts and pieces, and the people. I think it's really the people, and I just love it.
Yeah. How long have you guys been there?
Almost 19 years.
Wow, Lucy, I can't
2005.
believe that. You started when you were 12?
Yes.
Yeah.
11 and a half.
Yeah, 11 and a half. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. That was offensive. I apologize.
Yeah, it's been a while. It feels like a minute.
Yeah.
It probably for the first
Every
ones
year.
too, right?
Oh, yeah.
It feels
A
like
minute and about 20 lifetimes all
Yeah.
at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are both business owners, so you have something in common that I don't know anything about. Life as a business owner since COVID and through COVID. I know one thing, it changed the way you service customers, COVID did.
Yes.
Because you could walk into the showroom, and then when COVID started, you started taking people by appointment, and you've pretty well kept that, have you not?
We have. We don't turn anybody away.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of what we learned during COVID is choosing lighting, oddly, is like on the top 10 things of stressful things on construction projects. So when the store's quieter and there's fewer people in it, I think people feel a little less stress. So unrelated to the COVID thing, I just think people feel as if they're sort of have a curator with them, and they don't have a lot of extra noise around.
Right.
So it seems to work. And people at some points are like, really? And then when they come in and really enjoy the experience, I'd say 99% of the people leave happy. So
Oh,
if
yeah.
they're happy, we're happy.
Yeah. Well, you know what? When you walk in, and this is not a dig by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that there's a lot to see. It can be very overwhelming. And if you're in there, there's so much of it that I like. I don't know if there's so much of it that I can live with. That's what you're trying to decide, right?
Yes.
So it can be a bit overwhelming. So you're right. I think that quiet atmosphere is great to try to come up with an answer. It's a great place. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's a fun place to work.
So tell everybody where you guys are located and how they get an appointment so they can come and see you.
So we're on 311 Western Avenue in Lynn. So really, it took me from the city or into the city or out of the city, it took me about 25 minutes today. So it's not that far.
No.
Probably further to Newton, right? And so we're right on Route 107 in Lynn, 311 Western Avenue. And we're open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, 9 to 2 on Saturdays. And if you go onto our website, lucialighting.com, you can book an appointment right online.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
or you can call the store.
And by the way, there's more than lighting there. There's fabulous artwork.
Thank you.
There's furniture.
Yes.
You've really expanded out.
Thank
It's
you.
beautiful.
We have. Our creative director is top notch. She's amazing and we love her. She's really changed our life.
Terrific. Lucy, you've changed ours by being a part of Kerrigan and Company. Thank you so very, very much.
Thanks
we
for having
appreciate
me
it.
today. This is really fun.
I'm glad you've been here. This is Kerrigan and Company. I have to tell you, folks, I think lighting in your home is one of the most important things that you can do to keep the house updated. And when I need new lighting, I head to Lucia Lighting and Design. Their spectacular 10,000 square foot showroom inside a beautiful mansion in Lynn, Massachusetts is decorated with both architectural and decorative lighting in every single style. From crystal and traditional to contemporary and modern, the selection is absolutely unmatched. Whenever I'm looking for new lighting, as I mentioned, I head to Lucia Lighting and Design. And when I'm not sure exactly what I'm looking for, I rely on the expert guidance of their design team. I know that they can help me. Learn more and book your appointment today. It's lucialighting.com.
Big Night Studios is now open for all content creators. Are you looking to start a podcast? Looking to expand your brand? Then visit bignightmedia.com. Check out our rates, check out the studio, and see all the podcasts we have to offer. That's bignightmedia.com.
This segment of Kerrigan and Company is brought to you by Great Point Wealth Advisors. If you're close to retirement and want a better plan for the future, connect with greatpointwealth.com today. That's Great Point Wealth. They can help. Welcome back, everybody, to Kerrigan and Company, brought to us today by A&B Burger. And with me as my co-host and keeping me company is the owner of A&B Burger, Tom Holland. We're having a good time.
Yeah,
It's always
I'm
so
having a
fun
blast.
to have. I'm still hurt that you didn't bring any food, but I'm getting over it. I'm starving, but I'm getting over it.
It's really hard to do a show when you have ketchup on your chin and,
I know, I know.
I always try to get grease right here.
Right, or it's in your teeth. That is a little tough. There's no two ways about it. We are welcoming a really great guest at this point. With us now is Matt Schroeder from Great Point Wealth Advisors. And Matt, it's so good to see you again, number one.
Great to be here, yeah.
You were here with me in this studio before we even started the podcast.
Right at the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, you came over, and Great Point Wealth has been a wonderful sponsor, and we've so appreciated that. So it's good to see you again, though.
See you again, yeah. Happy to be part of it.
You are in the midst of a busy time, no doubt, there at Great Point.
Yeah, always, the tax time and planning for another year and all the other stuff that goes along with, the financial side of it.
Absolutely. I heard you talking about a wonderful subject, and that is I want to be a billionaire. You did this, I know, on a podcast for the company. And I know you got a lot of attention for it. And I just thought maybe we would talk about it because I think
that'd be
everybody who's listening says to themselves, gosh, I want to be a billionaire. Is that possible? So I want to know what your answer to I want to be a billionaire is, Matt.
The answer is yes.
Wow.
That's a good answer. I like that.
So you didn't bring food, but he brought the right answers.
He brought the answer right there.
We talk about the idea of, I want to be a billionaire, I want to be a millionaire, and everyone says, I want. And ultimately what we were talking about was, well, anything's possible if you're willing to do the things that are involved. And
Sure.
also, do you have enough time?
Right.
So, when it comes to financial planning, financial literacy, we talk a lot about, how long does it take my money to grow? So if I'm 22 and I'm starting to save, how much do I need to save so I can retire at 60 or 65? Or if I have $1 million, will it grow to be $2 million? And ultimately, the longer you let that money grow, it keeps growing. It goes up and down, as we've seen in the last few years. Markets are volatile, but over time, they tend to keep going up.
Yeah.
So if you have enough time, that money just keeps growing. So, I did a numerical example. If hypothetically, let's say you had $1 million today, and you could grow that money for the next, say, 70 years at 9 or 10% annualized return, that becomes $1 billion. Now, so not everyone's starting with $1 million, but if you're out there listening and you do have $1 million, and
It's Great Point Wealth Advisors.
And you can leave it alone for 70 years, you might not benefit from it, but future generations, that could be worth $1 billion. So,
I got to tell you, of course, obviously, we hope our kids are saving money and, everybody's saving money. But that makes me think of is invariably you have had this relative or someone in your life that you've known who had a modest job and kept a modest, lovely home and had a good life. And they've died and they have millions of dollars that you never knew. But it's because they put that money away early on. They didn't live a big flashy life. It's why it all appeared to be modest. And in the end, they had, all of this money that they had tucked away. Not saying that that's necessarily how you have to do it, but
you do hit on a big part of your spending habits.
Yeah.
So, the person who makes $60,000 a year and that person was saving 10 or 20% of their income, it's because they drove the 15-year-old car.
Right.
They, maybe took less flashy vacations. They didn't do everything, that some of their neighbors might have been doing. So it was kind of that idea of delayed gratification.
Sure.
Which, in kind of with FOMO, a big thing for a lot of people out there, that idea of delayed gratification it's a hard skill to learn. To take a dollar and say, I'm not going to touch that dollar for 20 years so I can have, $20 in retirement. We all, intellectually, we get it. We know we're supposed to save and put money aside. But when there's that nice, shiny, flashy toy right there, it's really hard. And all your friends are saying, hey, did you see that nice, flashy toy? I've got it too. You should get it. It's challenging. So, financial planning and financial literacy isn't necessarily about knowing everything. It's about knowing, how to do the right things over and over again. And to, you're going to make some terrible decisions. You're going to make some bad ones. But if you can make more good than bad, your batting average will slowly get you to, a better financial picture.
Sure,
So,
absolutely.
And, just because you have $1 billion, the other thing we talked about doesn't mean you're happy. So money can't buy happiness. It helps. It definitely gives you, some creature comforts and some ability to make different choices. But, you're having whatever your monetary goal is should be somewhat tied to your values, what you're trying to accomplish in life, what are really important to you, whether it's family or time in the community or whatever it may be.
Absolutely. Yeah. As a business owner, when you hear these kinds of things, tell me, how is it? I'm not a business owner, and I've never been a business owner. Is it harder to save and to do all these things because you're always worrying about the business, or is it just the opposite?
I think it's cyclical. I think that sometimes we run really well and I have great positive cash flow and, then it's the challenge. It's, do I save enough? How do I improve the business? Do I send out money to investors? What do I do with the money that's coming in? And will I have enough then when you take that dip, which will happen all the time, to be able to sustain the business through that dip. So it is a lot of constantly trying to make what's the right, and I don't always make the right decision, like I said, but you looked right at me, when I said that, so I was like, wait, how do you know me that well?
You bring up, a lot of business owners fall into that trap. You say pay yourself first. So, if you have a job, you get a paycheck, it's easy. You don't have to think about should I give that paycheck back into the business and buy newer supplies? But when you own the business, it's like, well, I could take that and open a new restaurant, or I can take that and hire a new person that might bring in more marketing dollars. So a lot of times business owners, they forget to pay themselves first. So
Always,
if you don't
always.
have a regular paycheck, it's hard to set up regular savings, because I'll get to that later. And that is definitely a big challenge that most business owners, because they love what they do and they can see the opportunity, but they forget that they're also an employee of the business.
100%.
Right.
100%. Absolutely.
Well, I think too, whether you're a business owner or you're someone who works for someone else, life gets busy, life gets crazy, and it slips up on you, and then all of a sudden you go, "Wow, I'm 58 years old," or whatever, and maybe I haven't gone about this the way that I should. What do you tell people who possibly come in and see you and say, "Matt, I'm 58 years old and I need to turn this into a billionaire"?
Buy the lottery ticket.
Yeah, right.
We can buy a lottery ticket.
Right, get a lottery ticket.
We are realistic first.
Yeah.
So, it'd be, that's probably not a realistic goal.
Yeah.
Also it's never too late. So if you're 58 and you want to retire at 59 and you haven't saved.
Yeah. That's a different thing.
It's a different story.
Right.
I say, well, hey, can I retire if I only had $100,000, could I retire? The answer is yes, but maybe not in this country. So if you take that money to a country where cost of living is a lot less and say, well, yeah, you can retire. But I want to also stay near my family. Say, well, okay, there's trade-offs. There's opportunity costs. So, if you're 55 or 58 or whatever the age is and you feel like, I haven't really done great so far, it's just about making sure you start making some positive steps moving forward. So if your current batting average is 3 good to 7 bad financial decisions, try to get it so that maybe it's 50-50 by the end of the next couple of years, and then slowly move yourself to 60-40. So, but it is hard. I think people get demoralized. A lot of the emotions that creep in is, I'm a failure, I messed up, and there's a lot of this psychology that goes behind changing your behaviors, which isn't easy. So it's not just, how much do I need to save? It's understanding, things are still going to go wrong. So even though you make the decision, I'm going to start saving, there's still going to be things that are going to go wrong. So kind of almost training yourself, like predicting, if this goes wrong, here's how this is the mistake I typically make. I'm going to not make that same mistake again. And I think that's really all you can hope for.
Are you guys finding that people are working longer? Because, everybody around me has no intention of stop working. I think my parents' generation, they looked forward to 62, 63, and, people seem to just be going at that age. Are you guys finding that a lot?
Yes. So
Another good answer.
Some people hate their jobs. And they
Yeah.
have to get out.
Right.
So it's how much do I need to have till I can quit my job? I hate this job. Others, it's I like what I do, and as long as they're not bugging me, I'll keep going, and I think it can add value. You also see, their friends are there. It keeps the mind sharp, so it keeps you going. And
People are younger now, too,
they're younger,
I think.
but they're also
and they live longer.
Right.
They live
You know,
longer. They might be caring for parents who are still aging and maybe didn't plan as well. They have college or maybe post-college that haven't fully launched, so maybe they're still paying for their kids or that previous generation. So sometimes it's like, well, I got to work longer because I still have 6
I think
miles
that's
to
called a sandwich, is it not?
sandwich.
It is. I was
that
just
was a
reading
good
about that,
time.
actually.
Yeah.
It was funny. It's,
Yeah.
where you are raising kids and you have parents that you're taking care of in
Yeah.
the same household or at least in the same area.
I think we could have a Sandwich Generation Day special.
That's right.
Where maybe
Free food
anyone
for you.
who's dealing in the sandwich direction, get some discount. You still need to make sure you pay yourself.
Exactly.
But maybe a 20% off day for anyone in the sandwich generation.
So now,
That is prevalent now, though, isn't it? For
is.
a generation that's very close to who
It is.
we
Yeah,
all are. Right.
multi-generational housing is coming back
Yeah.
into, with the cost of housing, and sometimes it's easier for, hey, why don't you move in with us? We'll split the cost, and as long as we can all get along, it adds that value. So there's
and it's
people
free
solve.
free childcare.
Free childcare.
And live in the house
possibly,
with
yes,
free
yeah.
childcare saves money right there, right?
As long as you tell them they can't go on vacation.
Yeah.
During the school year, of course.
Matt, this has been fun. This has been so
blast.
informative, too. Thank you very, very much. If somebody wants to get hold of you, and I don't know why you wouldn't, how do they go about doing so?
You can find us at greatpointwealth.com, or if you want to check out the podcast, it's called Great Points. It's on most streaming services, and trying to get new episodes out every week.
Super. Great.
Awesome.
Great to meet you and spend time with you again
for
here in
having
our
me. Yeah,
studio.
this was
Very
so
much
awesome.
appreciate
Yeah.
it. Yeah, you bet. This is Kerrigan and Company. Is your life getting more complex? Maybe jobs are changing, you're nearing retirement, shifting family dynamic, uncertainty about your financial future. It may be the right time to contact our sponsor, Great Point Wealth Advisors, for holistic planning and advice. Great Point Wealth Advisors is a registered investment advisory firm with offices in Boston and Danvers, Massachusetts. Listen to their short-form podcast, Great Points, on most streaming platforms or contact them at greatpointwealth.com. That's greatpointwealth.com. Welcome back, everybody, to Kerrigan & Company. Keeping me company today is Tom Holland. He is the owner of A&B Burger. It's been so fun to have you here.
This has been a great day.
Now, you know that when you're the co-host, you can't just sneak out of here by telling your story. You have to face our Fast Five. So it's our Focus Technology Fast Five. Focus Technology is your trusted IT partner for our cybersecurity, cloud, and managed services. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions. We need you to answer them in 30 seconds. Are you ready, sir?
I am ready.
All right. Your favorite restaurant besides the ones you own?
Oh, gosh. Blue Karma. It's a Chinese restaurant in Danvers. Amazing.
Wow. I'm very surprised by that. Best thing about being a dad?
I get to go to a lot of baseball games.
Thank goodness you didn't try to bring out one of their names. Don't do that, whatever you do. If you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh, man. I need more than 30 seconds. I would say dead or alive. I would go to dinner with my dad.
Oh, is he dead or alive?
He is dead. Yes. Now as I'm a grown man, I got a lot of questions.
You bet.
Yeah.
Favorite genre of music?
Favorite genre of music? We're currently, and it changes every day, but currently I listen to country all day long.
Yeah.
Country all day long.
Yeah, I love country too. And finally, what's your ideal vacation?
Ideal vacation would be me and my wife jumping on a cruise ship going around the Mediterranean right now. That would be it.
Listen, not right now, anytime.
Anytime, right? Right now, that's where I want to go. Though.
Isn't it crazy how, as time goes on, as much as you want to spend time with your family, and you want to keep those boys close because eventually they all of a sudden are gone, right? But isn't it nice to reconnect with your spouse just for a little bit?
We don't get that.
Yeah, I know.
We've had 2 vacations since my son was born 14 years ago, just with the 2 of us.
I understand that. You got to stay connected. And you know what? Also, you got 2 boys who are very, very active. You've got 2 restaurants that are crazy busy. And are there future plans? What else might happen there?
There's always future plans. I mean, we're always looking. The big thing right now that we're looking at, what we're noticing, and we talked a little bit earlier with Lucy about how COVID's changed the businesses, and what we're really looking at now is what it would look like if we were to change direction a bit and go towards more of a burger-focused fast food, kind of like a Five Guys type of more of a higher quality fast food burger joint. So looking at
not
that.
Instead of, but in addition to, right?
Diversified. So that way, if anything happens in the future, we've got all kinds of different things going on.
Well, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for that because I love that concept and that idea, and it seems like the logical direction for you guys to go.
Yeah.
You have the perfect menu for that. And I always like higher end. Right. Those are some of my favorite. Those are some of my favorite words.
Right. I mean, it's hard to have high-end fast food, but the quality of food is high-end.
Right.
Service still, same. It'll be quick, casual, and fun. But the food itself, we always try to make sure is the highest quality.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Tom, getting to know you through this project has been such a treat for me. I cannot tell you. And my family's got to know you. It's just been a real treat. So I thank you so much for your support.
Of course.
Thank you. Really do. And thank you for being a part of the show today.
I loved it. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a blast.
It's been a ton of fun. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for Kerrigan & Company today. Be sure you check us out wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Kerrigan & Company. To find out who will keep me company and be my co-host on the next episode, be sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok. Kerrigan & Company is recorded at the Big Night Studios at the TD Garden in Boston. You can view the podcast on YouTube and listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure you tell a friend. The executive producer of Kerrigan & Company is David Thompson. Our engineer is Peter Hurley. And our social media managers are Grace Kerrigan, Colby Thompson, and Riley Thompson. See you next time.
Yes, Kerrigan & Company.